Welcome viewers back to this Sattology session. And since we are focused on Sattology, which means debunking all kinds of mythology tags against Sanatana Dharma, especially on the Vedic literatures. So this will be a very educational video with a very prominent personality in New Delhi. And she has worked a lot for the Sanatana Dharma through her trust. And she belongs to a place where Draupadi came from. And some of you who know Draupadi and have read my books will understand that she was the wife of Pandava, and she was a preeminent women leader during that time. And even now, she is pursued as a role model in many spiritual societies. So without delay, would like to introduce you to our special guest, Miss Neera Mishra. Welcome, Neeraji, on the show.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for inviting me and this honor of having the opportunity to connect with your Sattology, which is so dear to my heart because of its name and the work it is doing. And it is connecting me to a crowd which is, I believe, very young and old. So it's like I think almost 3 generations of people will be listening to me.
Thank you, Neeraji. Actually, in terms of activism, when I met you a couple of times in New Delhi, you have done a remarkable work in your service to actually large Sanatana Dharma or Hindu community. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you have done from your Draupadi Trust?
Yes, is that question is okay?
Yes.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. See, the Draupadi Trust basically started as under very unusual circumstances when I, by a sheer accident, got connected to this very, very auspicious ancient land of India, of Bharat. Kampilya, my ancestral land, it is considered one of the 10 oldest cities of the country and of the world, I'm sure, because Sanatana Dharma and Bharat is considered one of the oldest civilizations. And this trust started with the idea to make people aware about the reality of India's history, India's itihasa, and India's past, because from my education, what I had learned in school and college is that we are some Aryans who had come from outside, and the whole dating process, everything was all so hodgepodge, which was not going in tune with what we as a civilization know. We know it from our family, we know it from our own traditional knowledge. So Draupadi Trust stands for 3 important things. One is, of course, creating awareness of our ancient heritage, our itihas. Second is women issues, because today the status of women, which used to be so high in ancient times, has been deteriorating in the last 1,000 years. And the third thing was focusing on youth, because India is a young country. And if you know, we all know the story of the Mahabharata. The Pandavas and Draupadi were very young. And at a very young age, they had to go through so much of turmoil, almost exiled for 12, 13 years. And how they used adversity in such a dignified way to overcome their challenges and to stand up for dharma. Because at the end of the day, you have to stand up for your dharma, you have to protect your dharma. Then only your identity, your own, astatva, which is what we call in Hindi, is intact. And that is related to the humanity and nature, which is an integral part of our dharma.
Very wonderful motivation, and a little bit going deep into your own personality. What are the core values that you see that you stand for as a person?
One very important thing today, I must tell you, people think money is very important. Now, in 1994, I was selected by SIDBI, which is one of the leading banks for promoting entrepreneurs, and I became an entrepreneur. And I call myself intellectual plus a social entrepreneur. Now, what is money? Money is basically a byproduct of three important things. Money is not the way people are talking of money today. It is a product of your honesty of purpose, your commitment, and your means and methods. And it's a byproduct of intelligent hard work, but with honesty and with a proper planning and perspective. Which, if you know, again coming back to Mahabharata, Arjuna, he stands for dedication, determination, and direction. So that is proper planning. So if you do honest planning and if you have honesty of purpose, the byproduct would be money, enough money to take care of yourself. But here today, materialism is overpowering every concept to dharmic understanding of what is money and what is life. And
Okay.
the other important thing I feel is that my values are coming from Vedic times. And the Vedic values are based on the universal principles of Dharma. Dharma basically means principles, and Sanatan means the eternal Dharma. And that eternal Dharma tells us that there is a complete integral link between man, nature, and animals, all types of nature. So that is why I as a person believe that Ganga is my mother, the trees are my friends, and the whole Brahmand, I'm a small speck in the Brahmand. And if I follow the rules of the Brahmand, then I will be able to be a contributing factor rather than a destructive factor in the creation process of Brahmand.
Very,
So my
very.
values are basically related to the Sanatana Dharma values, the Vedic principles of life, in which I try to I would use your word, Sattology, to get across my point. Because unless our basic theme is Satyameva Jayate, if you're truthful, then you don't have to worry for anything, you will stand ground. So that is what my small little principles of life have been. And today, whatever I am, because of these simple principles of life that I've followed, to believe in honesty, to believe in dedication, determination, and proper direction, and to work for a cause. And the cause means it's not your own personal benefit, cause is for the larger society. And in this larger society, I've taken heritage because that is suffering the most. And because the heritage is suffering, because our proper knowledge of our itihas is suffering, we are going through the turmoils of extreme materialism.
Very well said, Neeraji. And for the viewers who are watching it live, I must tell you that she's a very sincere person, and she has been single-handedly running these services in New Delhi, fighting against all odds. And just understand that any good work cannot be done without perseverance. And she is a very good example of perseverance, dedication in what she believes in. So my next question will be a little bit towards her projects that she does. And if you all like, we would like to invite her again next time also and make it a series for her so that we can all assist her in her own projects. Now, my next question to you is that you have a very good understanding about the Vedic history and also the spirituality behind it. And so where does that come from? Do you have a teacher or do you follow someone or it is through your parents or family? Can you a little bit shed light on that, please?
As I said, that it has been very integral to our family. We come from a land which is centuries old. and our connectivity to that land is centuries old. So it has been a part of our family life to be grounded in spirituality while pursuing the role that has been given to us by God in this life. And from there, I got the inspiration, but my real inspiration actually came from Draupadi. And Draupadi, when I visited this place for my ancestral, she's our Kul Devi. So when I did this puja there, that's the time I realized that how for Dharma she sacrificed everything. The Pandavas sacrificed so much, and then gradually I was very lucky that since I was attracted to the epic Mahabharata, I met somebody who has been very integral to finding the roots of Mahabharata, physical roots in India. This is Professor B.B. Lal. So I met him, real coincidence, sheer, not coincidence, I would say coincidence, but I think Krishna blessed me, at Hastinapura. And in 1951-52, he had actually excavated Hastinapura. And it's been a long journey under his guidance. And through him, I have met the who's who of the world, India and abroad, who are connected with the study of archaeology, anthropology, ancient history. In USA, I was very close to Professor Shiva Bajpayee. He's no more now. Then Bernard Els from Belgium, Kazanas from Greece, and we have George Washington University's Professor Alf Hiltebittel. So Subhash Kak. I mean, these have been people who have been linked with me. And so they have been my, I would say, even guide and inspirators. But my real inspiration comes from my land of ancient India, where I feel that we have done great disservice by not showcasing the history of the nation as it is. So that's been my motivating factor is Draupadi, of course.
Yes.
Draupadi stands for two simple things. Draupadi stands for heritage, that reviving that spirit of the woman to respect a woman. And the woman can take up her cudgels on her own if she is not given the due respect. Secondly, how she worked as a hairdresser during Agyatwas. Such a simple, small little thing, but she taught us two simple lessons. No job is menial. And if you are in adversity, you have to use your talent and knowledge to overcome that. And that I take it as an example to all women, that nurture your talents, nurture your knowledge, because knowledge is going to help you. Nothing else is going to help you. Your talent, your knowledge, your skills. These are the things that will stand you in good stead. And that we learn from our ancient history.
Thank you so much, because there has been consistent attacks in the Western world, especially from the academics' point of view, against ancient Vedic history. And the term mythology, which comes from Sanskrit word myth, which means imagination or fake, has been tied to them. And through our Sattology groups, we are reversing that. That's why we invented the term, I invented the term, Sat means truth, Sattology means science of truth. Now, coming back to you, to the tag, because now this particular, there is a concerted campaign since 1650s, especially, where the West has been trying to find some fault with the Vedic culture, somewhere or the other. And one of the biggest attacks was through the British government sponsored Christian missionary movements by Macaulay and Max Muller, who deliberately coined the terms mythology or propagated them and deliberately tried to Christianize the ancient Vedic culture. And the results of that, you can see that today rampant. And luckily, America is free because of, in terms of gurus and people who are connected to traditions. But the people who are not connected to traditions, they have been freely using these terms, further destroying the identity of themselves. So do you see that phenomena increasing or decreasing in India?
I'll tell you, this whole process of degrading our itihasa as mythology actually started almost 200 years ago. And it got structured when Macaulay started the education system. So, internationally, what is happening is that there is something called the schools of divinities. There are these, in Chicago and other places. Now, they study different cultures and they study different religions. Most unfortunately, they have nomenclatured our itihas as religion. You see, for us, religion is different than itihas, and but they go parallel. That our itihas tells us what is our dharma. We don't have a concept called religion, we have something called dharma. So the schools of divinity, when they study, even today, they study Mahabharata and Ramayana as religion rather than itihas, rather than history. So on one hand, you are not even recognizing that this is itihas. And why they are doing this is because they did not understand and still do not understand the methodology that was used by our ancestors to tell us the stories of our past. For them, the whole methodology that they have created to say this is history, it is not in tune with what our itihas is. So they have to rework on studying our itihas from our way of writing itihas. If I have to understand your car, if I have to drive a car in your country and USA, I have to go left-hand driving. But if I come to India, I have to do right-hand driving. That's or vice versa, whatever the rules are. But you can't have the same rules to do that. So they have to again come back to India to restudy that. That is on one level, they were studying our itihas as religion, and they were not taking them as serious chronological events of our nation. Secondly, with Max Muller giving the date of the Rig Veda around 1200 to 1600 approximately, they were talking about it. And they tried to fit everything with the Christian era because that was what they were aware of. And in order to fix everything to their nomenclature, to their that chart that they have created, in their matrix they wanted to fit. So they started whatever they didn't understand, it was myth. But whatever they felt was fitting in their thing. So today what we have come to know, I have done almost 8 international workshops, and we have done a lot of work on dating. Of course, dating of, if they understand history to be chronological events, then we have the chronology of kings, right from Swambhu Manu. If they understand as historical events that happened and changed the nature of the nations, we have those also written in our Puranas and in our Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay. But now coming to the dating, we have through astronomical dating, through archaeological dating, through textual means, all the 3 methods have been applied to get to the dating. And today we can with confidence say that Mahabharata is almost 5,000 years. And so the historians are now reworking. In our country, we have done a very strong work. In fact, some of our scholars are based in USA, Professor Narhari Achar and Subhash Kak, they've all worked on this, you see. So if we are able to, I would say, structure it in a simplified way to tell the Western world that these books are our itihas, our Puranas, our Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are our itihas. And they have to understand our itihas, they have to understand our methodology of itihas. Then only things will clear up. And we should not go by who's good, Christ is good, or Krishna is good, or Ram is good, or Muhammad is good. Let's keep religion out of it. See, for us, they are heroes. They are historical figures whom we revere. And in our country, you see, because of a Sanatana Dharma philosophy, everybody who's our senior, like our starts with the parents, we regard them as God. We do puja to our parents. So parents, grandparents, and anybody up, going up. So for us, they are gods because they are the source of our creation. And so we revere them as gods. We revere them as somebody who we look up to because they stood up to values which we follow. But in terms of the metrics of religion that is followed by the West, it does not fit into Indian context because Hinduism is not a religion in that context. We follow the Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, which is universal principles of law, which govern every living being on this earth. In fact, innate and living and non-living also. They say that we find there is life even in a stone. And that is why if you give energy to a stone, it acquires holy properties.
So viewers, one thing, the context in which she is speaking is a large undivided India, like the boundaries starting from Afghanistan to Myanmar today, and also Uttar Kuru, which is north of Kashmir, right down to Kanyakumari. So the geographical area which she is talking about is very large. And also the identity that she is talking about is something you have read many times in my books and publications also. Same ideology, but she has given some great examples to us. And one of the things which has come from your last answer is the fitment of ancient Indian Vedic history into the Western timelines doesn't make sense, and which you have said it, and I also believe in it. And also there is another thing which you mentioned was there is a concerted attempt to brand Hinduism as a religion, which it is not. It is a much vast platform because most of the Americans hate the word religion, which comes from the book, coming from Middle Eastern areas. So that so most of the people are leaving those kind of dogmatic ideologies and coming to the openness, the open. Somebody told me it's an open architecture, given an analogy of an open architecture. So now, with your work, you work on bringing the original identity of history, itihas, back and to build the identity. How important is the value of history in building the identity of a person?
I think history is the most important part of a person's identity. You are known by your whole personality, and your personality is a result of your history. So, history identifies you, history connects you, history gives you roots. No tree has any value if it doesn't have roots. So, the deeper the roots of a tree, the more fruitful and the more lasting it would be. So a person's identity comes from his historical background. And I think that is one of the reasons that there was this big clamor to claim history, claim important events like Aryans, because they wrote the Rig Veda, as somebody from the West. So everybody wants to claim the ancient Indian ethos, ancient Indian knowledge system by trying to sort of fudge with the dates and fudge with our own identity. So today we know that the Aryans are indigenous, and because the Aryans are indigenous, we are the original inhabitants, and we have a past which is so deep rooted that it gives us a unique identity. So it is as I said, it is a Sanatan identity. It is a Sanatan means eternal. Sanatan word means eternal. People have to understand this also, that what is Sanatan? Sanatan Dharma means an eternal law of nature. And our identity comes from a civilization which is eternal. So we stand out on such deep roots, which go down, in fact, to thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And history is very critical to, to sort of give a person or a nation its personality. And that is why that personality brings out its character, it brings out its value system, it brings out its knowledge. So unless you have that depth of history, how can you have that knowledge and have that personality? And that is why civilizations, so many civilizations have come and gone. Mesopotamian, so many, I mean, you know, all the world civilizations. Why is it that this Sanatana civilization is still surviving? Because we have followed the universal principles of law.
No, actually,
And that is why history is important to us, because we stick to our history, because for us, history is our identity.
no, very well put, very well put. And most of the Americans after this pandemic are turning towards the Sanatana Dharma concept of life. I think you were telling me yesterday that there was a study that vegetarians did not get the coronavirus as much, and there was some scientific basis to that. What was that?
See, the Sanatana Dharma believes in something called Ayurveda. Now, Ayurveda, in simple terms translated, means the science of life. Ayu is life, and Veda means the root of science, root of knowledge, which is science. Now, Ayurveda tells us that if you have a vegetarian diet, you are able to be more, your immune system will be better. You will be able to fight the environment in a better way. And so we have followed that system. And I think even the WHO has done a little study, which I got this information from one of the WHO posts, that people who are vegetarians don't see, if you eat non-veg, you are exposing your body to the germs and the diseases that are there in that animal that you are going to eat, whether it's a bird or it's a, you know, whatever animal you are eating, you know. But so you are doubly exposed, and that harms your immunity. So vegetarian diet is very good for increasing immunity and in making your body naturally strong. And also your mind. See, what you eat reflects your, also makes your personality. So if your personality is positive, then automatically anything negative outside will not easily harm you. Anything negative that goes inside also will get completely neutralized because you're so positive. So that is why vegetarian diet is supposed to be very good as a health, your own health, mental, physical, emotional. And of course, that all these things are better, then automatically spirituality comes. And once spirituality comes, then you realize how you are so well connected to the living beings and how you should not harm the living beings.
Many good points you said. Just for the clarification, so as per the dates from the Indian historians, so there is a group of Western historians and the Indian historians. So most of the people in the Western historian community is driven by a particular agenda to prove their legitimacy. And India has so far not defended themselves. And Hindus who follow the maximum, they're the biggest followers of Sanatana Dharma, so they have not defended themselves. So there is a higher awareness going on around in India also to present the narrative in their own way. Just to give you an example, most of the commentators on the Hindu religion are from the West, and with the ultra leftist and ultra they don't belong to a tradition of India, and these people are spread in Harvard and Stanford and other universities, Berkeley. So they are all, they may have the brown skins, I call them coconuts, but they are trying to impose their ideals on the followers of tradition. So Neera Mishra ji comes from that tradition, and that's why when she says thousands of years, it means according to the Indian historical records, not the Western Indo historical records, because the Western historical records are purposely destroyed with a fake agenda, so that the people donate more money to their organized faiths. So that's how the whole background is. So it all boils down to money. Therefore, Sanatana Dharma is different than religions. Now, my last question to Neera Mishra ji is that she has done a fabulous work, and we will definitely invite her more because she knows so much. One session is not enough, and we will invite her on a regular basis. So my last question to you is, what is the immediate priorities that you are working on in your current uh, affairs? What you're doing?
Yeah, my immediate priorities are, of course, I feel that India's identity has to come up as as a place that has these ancient places. See, India, when somebody comes to India, we talk about 5,000 years of history, but we showcase 500 years of history.
Correct.
So my immediate thing is that in Delhi, and in places linked to Mahabharata and Ramayana. These places should be highlighted. And my immediate plan is for Delhi to create a museum and to recreate the history of Indraprastha in Delhi. Likewise, in Kampilya, Draupadi's place. Likewise, in Hastinapur. But I want to start from Delhi because Delhi is the place which is the capital of India and it draws maximum people here. So if we have to showcase India, it is best to start from Delhi. And nowadays the Mahabharata is going on Doordarshan every day. People are watching. People keep asking me questions on happening in the Mahabharata. Is this the same Indraprastha? Is it the same place? And I have to go on and on telling them. I said, look, this is the last time I'm telling you. Now we have to recreate it so that in future we don't have to tell anybody. They will just see it. So my immediate agenda is I need everybody's good wishes and support to create Indraprastha, a huge statue of Krishna standing right in front of Purana Kila and the Rashtrapati Bhavan, because Rashtrapati Bhavan area is the also Indraprastha area where an inscription was found which talked about Indraprastha. And the Purana Kila is the area where the Pandavas had their own palace. The Sabhagar that we hear about in Mahabharata was actually this area. So I am pushing this whole idea of recreating the history of ancient India so that when we talk of telling the people we are 5,000 years old, they will actually come and see the geographical locations of that 5,000 years old. You see, another way of connecting people to history is through geography. One is books. Yes, people will read books or not read books. They can see series now that the internet is there and now the media is there. But if you know the places geographically, and if you recreate that same place as it used to be in a particular time, with the help of new digital technology, with the help of new architecture, and then people will automatically get connected to history because they know the place, but they cannot see it. So we have to show them visibly. So that is my whole idea, that through geography, connecting to history of India so that India's real identity showcases in the way it actually is or was.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's a real pleasure to speak with you, and also learn so much from you. We'll cover many such topics in the future, and for the viewers, please keep watching. Please subscribe to our Sattology channel.
Thank you so much. I would like to tell all your viewers to kindly please build your immunity, because no vaccine, no medicine can give you that much relief as your own immune system. So have good diet, which will build your immunity. Follow the instructions of Ayurveda that is already there, natural systems of immunity. And we want you all to be safe very quickly out of this pandemic and go back to work in a more new normal, not the old normal.
Yeah, thank you, Neeraji. So keep watching and subscribing, and I'll also forward you in the video link on the description. You'll get her website. So you do watch it and do connect with her. Thank you so much.
Thank
Namaskar and have a nice day.
you.